वक्रतुंड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste. Welcome to this 15th session to study chapter 14 called Gunatraya Gunatita Vibhaga Yoga. As I was telling last week, chapters 13, 14 and 15 deal with Gnana Yoga, the pursuit of self-knowledge or Atma Gnana. Though these three chapters are relatively small, they are very, very significant chapters. In this chapter, Krishna deals with the three gunas as the stepping stones. Through these three gunas, Lord Krishna takes us to Gunatita Atma, Gunatraya Dvara. Through the three gunas as stepping stone, going to Gunatita Atma is the subject matter of this chapter. So, let us listen to Dr. Hegde sir and his team of teachers. Our today's chanting will be led by Dr. Ahalya and Srimati Dr. Netravati. Let's chant along with them. Before we begin today's class, let's revisit our last class with Sri Ullas. Over to you, Ullas.
Hari Om sir. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Until last week, we had seen Prathama Shatkam, which was Dhyan Karma Yoga Pradhana. The Madhyama Shatkam then was Upasana Yoga Pradhana. And last week we started the Charam Shatkam, the juiciest of all, the Jnana Yoga Pradhana, which is one of the Upanishadic chapters in the Gita. And it is started by the 6 questions that Arjuna asks. What is Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, and Jnayam and Jnanam? Basically, these are the 3 questions actually. What is Anatma, which is Prakriti and Kshetra? What is Atma, which is Purusha, Kshetrajna, and Jnayam? And the third topic is Jnanam. We'll see all of them. The first one is, what is Anatma? Anything and everything that we see around, that we perceive, that we can experience, that can be objectified is Anatma. I just said that can be objectified, not just what has already been objectified. So even the heavens come under Anatma. This obviously, this creation comes under Anatma, this very body comes under Anatma, and the mind is also nothing but subtle matter only. So he wants to know what is the matter principle. Everything which is around us is the matter. It is inert, it is achetana. It seems to be conscious, but it has borrowed its consciousness from the spirit principle. It is with attributes. Anything which is tall, heavy, etc. is all anatma. It has saguna. Anything which is changing, it is savikara, is anatma. It goes from manifest to unmanifest. The manifest is called the creation, and the unmanifest matter is called maya. Now, what is atma? For us to objectify anything, we need a subject. And this subject cannot be objectified. That very subject which is must for any objectification and cannot be objectified is the Atma. It is sentient. This is the one which provides sentiency to everything. It is an independent principle. It does not require anything for it to be evident. It is all pervading. It is in and through everything, like light is there. It is in and through everything, and even after the fall of the medium, it continues to exist. So it is eternal also. It was there before, during the medium, and even after the medium. This is the only thing which is ekaha, which is unique in this universe. It cannot be divided, it cannot be moved. Just like akasha and prakasha, they are unique, they cannot be moved, they are indivisible. We can divide the earth, we can divide the water, but we cannot divide these things. It is uncontaminable. It supports everything, but it does not get impacted by anything. It is asangatvam. What is jnanam? Now, this is very interesting meaning here in this chapter. Study without the values is just information. These values, these virtues are something which is required to gain Atmajnanam. If we gain these values, only then our study will transform us. Otherwise, it is just information. There are 20 values which are enumerated in this chapter. They all boil down into the same sadhana chatushtaya, 4-fold qualifications. The 4 Ds: discrimination between Atma and Anatma, Vairagya, the detachment, dispassion, the desire, the one single focused desire to achieve moksha, and the sixfold disciplines. There are different stages to gain this knowledge. The first one is Karma Yoga. It helps us to remove our impurities, mala nivritti. Then comes the Upasana Yoga, the focused mind, the Chitta Ekagrata we need to gain. Then comes the Shravanam, the consistent and systematic study of Vedantic scriptures for a length of time under the guidance of a competent guru. All of these are keywords. The Shravan has to happen, then all these must be satisfied. And only after the Shravan is completed, then we should get into our doubt removal, because many of the doubts get removed during the Shravana stage itself. And then the last and most important stage is Nididhyasanam. The body is always with me. So I need to have this knowledge also with me that I am not the body. So dwelling upon this teaching every single moment is very important. It is difficult, but it is very important. So that is the Nididhyasanam that we need to be always there. And then what is the benefit of all this? Now that I recognize that everything is Atma, now I have the recognition that I am like the water, not like the waves. Now water is same across all the waves. So now if everything is the same, then I will not have the liking or dislike towards anything. So I will have the sameness of my vision everywhere. This change of vision, which removes the raga and dvesha, is a great happiness. It also gives me immortality. Waves die, but water does not die. Akarta and Abhokta is the next thing that we see, that the matter is interacting in my presence. Nothing else I am doing. And then I get limitlessness, the Brahmatvam. These are great benefits by which we achieve Jivan Mukti. So 13th chapter has been really insightful. Now let us enter into the 14th chapter. Hari Om, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ullas, for giving us a very brilliant summary of the most difficult chapter in the entire Bhagavad Gita. We go now to the 14th chapter. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva, tvameva bandhuscha sakha tvameva, tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva, tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. The 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is titled Gunatraya Gunatita Vibhaga Yoga. The whole quest of the Upanishads, the whole quest of Vedanta, is to move from that which appears to be real to that which is real. We have heard that famous Upanishadic mantra which goes like this, Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya. Vedanta says there are 3 levels of reality. Level 1 is called Pratibhasika. When we are in a dream world, our experiences are absolutely real. We can say it is a dream only when we wake up into this world which was called Vyavaharika. And when we wake up into the Vyavaharika world, the dream world looks less real, and whatever appears less real is called Mithya compared to Satya. However, this is not the highest level of reality, because there are people who have woken up to a higher level of reality called Paramarthika. And those who have woken up to that level consider all of us like still asleep. So the whole quest of Vedanta is to move from that which appears to be real, what we call as Mithya, to that which is real called Satya. In this effort, Swamiji has given us 2 fundamental laws, and which I have found very useful in my own understanding of Vedanta. And let us see, although I have shared this last time, for a particular reason I will share these 2 fundamental laws once again. The first fundamental law is, I am different from whatever I experience. I experience so many things around me. For example, in this world around me, there are so many objects, and I'm very clear I am not one of them. The real challenge is I experience my body, and using the same fundamental law, I need to now be very convinced I am not my body. Even more difficult is I experience my mind, and because I know it is an object of my experience by the same fundamental law, the law says I am not my mind. This fundamental law can be said in other words also, and therefore we can identify with what we have learned in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. This law has come to us from the 13th chapter. In the 13th chapter, we have discovered that we are the Kshetrajna, the one who is the experiencer, and all that I experience is called Kshetram. In other words, there is another book by Vidyaranya Swami, a Prakarana Grantha, a fundamental text which calls us Drik Drishya Viveka. The seer, the one who sees and experiences, is called Drik, and all that we see is Drishyam. And the teaching is, or the first level of Vedanta is, I am someone other than whatever I can see and experience, including my body and mind. In the same 13th chapter, we discussed about Purusha and Prakriti, and we identify ourselves with the Purusha, and all that I experience is Prakriti. To continue again, the experiencer is of a higher order of reality. The experiencer is Satya, and all that I see has a dependent existence, because, and whatever has got a dependent existence is called Mithya. The experiencer is, Krishna says in the 4th verse, which is a Mahavakya, Kshetrajnam chapimam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. That experiencer within me, Sri Krishna declares, is I myself. That means the divine principle works within all of us as the experiencer. And that is why Vedanta believes that I am Brahman, and whatever I experience is of a lower order of reality. And it is said, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. So these are all the derivations that we can derive from the first fundamental principle. I am someone other than whatever I experience, including my body and mind. We now come to the second fundamental principle of Vedanta, which comes to us from the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the Gunatraya Gunatita Vibhaga Yoga. This law says all attributes, all gunas that I experience belong to the experience objects, not to me. I, the experiencer, I am Atma, I am Gunatita. So we already have a great declaration that my real nature is I am free from all gunas. My mind may have sattva, rajas, tamas. I experience all of them, but whatever I experience, I am not. These two fundamental laws have to be internalized, and if it is internalized, it can be, as Swamiji says, mind-boggling. It is liberating. The declaration is, I as Atma, I am Nirguna. I have no attributes. And when I have no attributes, I experience my limitlessness or my infinite nature. Attributes come from time, attributes come from space, attributes come from objects. In time, I have no limitations as time, and therefore I am eternal or I am Nitya. I have no attributes as far as space is concerned. I am all pervading, including I pervade this body. Attributes as far as objects, I inhere this object, this body, but I am not limited to this body. I am all. And this understanding is a liberating understanding. Bhagwan Ramana reminds us of these fundamental laws by a very nice phrase which says, Naham Deham. He declares, I am not this body. Deham includes mind. If a person of his stature declares, I am not the body, the next thing he says, please inquire, Koham. And through Guru Shastra, you recognize, Saha Aham Asmi. I am that. If I am not my body, what does the Guru Shastras help us to recognize? I am the illuminator of my ego. I am the illuminator of my mind. I am the illuminator of this body. I am the illuminator of the whole world around me. And that Atma is of the nature of Sat Chit Ananta or Sat Chit Ananda. I am without any attributes, therefore I am Nirguna. And this, why is this liberating? Because I transcend form. And transcending form is the real transformation that Vedanta is trying to work on. The aim of Vedanta is, all my problems are because I tend to identify with my body-mind, and the aging or the sickness or the problems of my body-mind, I identify as my problems. The correction is that I realize I'm someone other. I'm the illuminator of my body mind. I see an anxious mind, I see a depressed mind, I see an aging body, but I am none of these. This understanding would release me from the bondage and give me a sense of limitlessness, and that is what moksha is all about. In our day-to-day life, how do we remember these two fundamental principles? Whenever you see a picture of Nataraja, Nataraja is dancing on a symbol of like a demon under his feet. The same is seen under Shiva as Dakshinamurti. The right leg of Shiva is kept under the demon of forgetfulness called Apasmara. I should never forget the fundamental principle. The fundamental principle is I am Satya, I am of a higher order of reality, and anything around me cannot affect me because I am Satya, I am Brahman, and everything around me is Mithya. The symbolism of Nataraja also includes the Chinmudra. The Chinmudra says, the thumb is the real me or Brahman or Atma. For Vyavaharika purposes, I identify with my ego or my Ahankara. The Ahankara is affected by Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, the three gunas, the three bodies, the three states, Jagrat, Swapna, and the Shushupti. But through Guru Shastra Upadesha, I realize that this is only a role play and that I am someone else. I need to disidentify. Remember these words of from the Nirvana Shatakam of Adi Shankara, Mano Buddhi Hankara Chittani Naham. This is a process of negation called neti neti. I am none of these things which I can experience. And if I am none of them, then who am I? I am the experiencer of the nature of Sat Chit Ananda. I am essentially divine called Shivoham. Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. Is there another method of remembering this? Bhagavan Shankaracharya in the Bhajagovindam says through Satsanga. Satsangatve nissangatvam, nissangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatvam, nischalatatve jivan muktihi. With this background, let us look into the beginning verses of the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the glory of Jnanam and creation as a prelude. Dr. Sundar, please.
Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. As we have already seen, the beginning 3 chapters of the Antima Shatakam basically deal with the content of Jnana Yoga, which culminates in Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikya, Aparoksha Jnanam. Lord Krishna takes a slightly different path in the chapters 13, 14 and 15. In the next slide, let us see the overall route map that Lord Krishna takes us through as a part of Jnana Yoga to culminate in this Aparoksha Jnanam. At the most basic level, Tamoguna comprises of laziness and dullness. For a person who is predominantly rooted in this, Lord Krishna recommends Karma Yoga as a sadhana, which comprises of right activity to wake him up out of slumber towards dynamism, which is a personality of Rajoguna. This can continue till one acquires Chitta Shuddhi through Samatvam, through Karma Yoga. At that point, an extroverted personality is an impediment towards spiritual pursuit. At this point, Lord Krishna recommends Upasana Yoga, which is meditation on Ishta Devata, on Vishwarupa Ishvara, as a means to look within, slowly transform to the next predominant personality of Sattva Guna, where the mind is calm, where the mind is receptive, like a sponge for new learning. At this stage, Lord Krishna recommends the sadhana of Jnana Yoga, which comprises of scriptural learning through Shravanam and Mananam, and Guru using Shastra Upadesha like a mirror shows us our true nature as being one with Atma Swarupam. During Nididhyasanam, we constantly abide in this teaching, and then I identify myself with my Atma Swarupam, which is called as Gunatita, however, not a new state. It is something which has been through me, in and through all the 3 gunas. It is just that it was veiled by my identification with the body-mind complex. when this veil is removed through Guru Shastra Upadesha, I am now able to constantly abide in the Gunatita status. Now, Lord Krishna glorifies this Jnanam in the initial 2 verses of this chapter. In the first verse, he says that this Jnanam is Jnananam Uttamam and Param Jnanam. These superlatives are used because this is the only knowledge, singular knowledge, which can remove the universal and fundamental problem of emotional inadequacy, non-fulfillment, which is samsara. He goes further with his glorification in the second verse, where he says, resorting to this jnanam, one attains sadharmyam with Krishna himself, oneness with the Lord. This means that one develops the nature of purnatvam, complete fulfillment, total tranquility, total freedom from regrets of the past, total freedom from worries of the future. Who wouldn't want this state of mind? Having glorified Jnanam in the initial 2 verses, the next 2 verses lay the foundation for the route map for this chapter. Mama yonir mahad brahma, tasmin garbham dadamyaham, sambhavah sarva bhutanam, tato bhavati bharata. So these 2 verses describes creation at the most primordial state and as things stands now in the next verse. So what Lord Krishna is trying to explain to us is, in the beginning of the creation, there were 2 principles, Brahman or Paraprakriti and Maya or Aparaprakriti. Both of them are beginningless. Maya is a Shakti which is rooted upon Brahman. Everything that we see today arises from these. So in the 3rd verse, Lord Krishna is telling that he blesses Maya. He activates Maya. He rolls the Maya into the process of creation. In the next verse, the 4th verse, Sarva yonisu kaunteya murtaya sambhavanti yaha. At present, as we see the creation today, whatever may be the immediate cause, whoever may be my father or mother, Lord Krishna is telling, he is the causeless cause of everything, the original cause of everything. So to put in one sentence, Lord Krishna is telling everything in creation is born out of Maya. The elaborate description of this is not really to teach about creation, but to bring forth one important fact, as we see in the next slide. Lord Krishna tells us that Maya, to begin with, had 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So he is telling us that if the cause has 3 gunas, the effect must necessarily have 3 gunas. So everything around me today, as I see, has 3 gunas, including me. So in the following verses, Lord Krishna is going to elaborately discuss about guna and about the method, how to get over the guna and to become gunatita. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sundar, for a nice introduction. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa has his unique ways through stories to tell us about Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Normally you would think Tamasa, Rajas are something to be avoided and Sattva is something to be claimed. He is famed for this story of a rich man who sold all his goods and was crossing a forest trying to reach home when 3 bandits attack him. After stealing all his properties, one of them decides to kill him. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says this is the Tamoguna person who takes rash decisions. The Rajoguna person says, no, that is too radical. Let us blindfold him, tie him up to a tree so that we can escape from here. And they follow his instruction. The 3rd person, after they have divided all their booties and they have separated, after some time comes back to this businessman who was tied to a tree, takes off his blindfolds, takes off all whatever he was bound to the tree. And because he was injured, he helps him to get his way out towards his house. And as he could see his house at a great distance, the businessman requested the 3rd person, whom we call as the Sattva, to please come. Done so much for me. The man said, see, I am also a thief. I cannot come. It suddenly woke up to my mind that Sattva can also be a bondage. Sattva can also be a limitation. Although the spiritual journey is from tamoguna to rajoguna to sattva. All these are various forms of bondages, because the real me is none of these. So for transactional purposes, we use them, we identify. And to get a greater idea about this, we have Dr. Sanjay Mehrotra to explain about them. Dr. Sanjay, please.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. In the previous verses, Krishna describes the nature of three gunas, which is, as Dr. Hegere said, about the sattva, rajas, and tamas. In the coming verse, which is the 9th verse, Krishna has concluded the description of Bandha Prakara, which describes in a nutshell how each guna binds a person or creates an addiction. And the verse goes like this. Sattvam sukhe sanjayati rajah karmani bharatah jnanam avratya tu tamah pramade sanjayatyutah. Sattvam sanjayati. Sattva binds to sukhe, to pleasure. Rajah binds one to karmani, to action. Whereas tamaha or tamas binds oneself to negligence or pramade. And how does it happen? Avritya, by veiling, by covering the discriminative power. Hey Arjuna. So sattva binds to sukham means that pleasure, which is what sattva appears to be, elevated guna, but it binds to a person to a sukham, to pleasure, which is in the form of quietude, aloofness, tranquility, which means that a satuguna pradhana person may get bound to these states and may get disturbed when he doesn't get it, but it is still a bondage. Same way, rajaha karmani bharatah. Hey Arjuna, rajas would bind to karmani, which means a rajoguna pradhana person would be bound to doing karma all the time, so that he also get addicted to the karma. So addiction to sattva as well as karma is a problem. For example, if you have sattva also and you do meditation, that also becomes a problem. So Vedanta says that addiction to even Shastra is a problem, but it does not mean that you should stop Shastra Vichara. So what is the addiction to Tamoguna? Pramade, which means addiction to laziness, sleep, carelessness. And how does it all happen? Jnanam avratya, by covering of the jnana, by veiling the discriminative power or clarity of the mind. Addiction of any kind will make the water muddy. So when the mind is muddy, because of these addictions, which may be even sattva, you lack clarity. In the 10th verse, Krishna describes to Arjuna, sattva by manifesting can bind or overpower the rajas and tamas, and rajas by overpowering the tamas and sattva, or tamas by overpowering the sattva and rajas. The manifest universe, all these three gunas are unequally distributed. They're not equally distributed, and which is the basis of yugas also. So in a yuga, where we live, and I know, and everybody knows, what kind of guna predominate? Probably tamasa. But there are sattva and rajas also. And after the destruction of the universe, which is the pralayam, all these gunas disintegrate into an equilibrium state. And when the universe manifests again, the gunas will come back, but they would be in equilibrium. Coming to the verse 11, Sarvadvareshu dehe asmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidyat vivruddham sattum ityutah. Yada prakashah jnanam. When the light of knowledge, upajayate means grows, sarvadvareshu, which means all the sense organs in our body, asmin dehe, tada vidyat, then one should know that this is leading to sattvam viruviddham. Sattva is predominant. When the light of knowledge grows in all the sense organs in the body, then one should know that sattva is predominant. So here, sarvadvareshu, which is a manifestation of the indriyas. Indriyas are the dwara, or the entry through which we perceive the world. You can also call them the receivers. When the state of light or luminosity is expressed, prakasha upajayate, all the sense organs are receiving at their best in most tranquil state. How is that achieved? By jnanam. They know that sattva has become predominant. Vivriddham swatyam sattva mitya. So in the verse, the effect of obtaining jnana is described, whereby having obtained it, a certain luminosity comes, it is expressed, which is sattva in nature. Hari Om.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay, for a very clear, deliberate exposition about the gunas and how they can bind us. Our next presentation about what happens, gati, that means what happens after death and what is the benefit of each of these gunas, will be explained to us by Dr. Rekha. Dr. Rekha is a leading oncopathologist of the country. She was in Kidwai Memorial Institute Cancer Hospital as professor and head of pathology for a number of years, also the medical superintendent. She is currently a senior consultant pathologist at a cancer hospital, Shankara Cancer Institute. Dr. Rekha, please.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. We now come to the topic of Gatihi, which is travel after death. Normally, when an agyani or a spiritually ignorant person dies, the gross body merges with the Sthula Prapancha. The Sukshma Sharira then travels, and the direction of this travel is covered in verses 14, 15, and 18. And this is dependent on the guna that is predominant at the time of death. Verse 14 deals with Sattva Gati. Next slide, please. That is the travel of one who was Sattva Pradhana. The Sukshma Sharira of such a person will travel to the higher lokas, which are generally attained by great sages or Saguna Upasakas, Uttama Vidam. And these are pure worlds, Amalan Lokan. The next slide shows verse 15, which deals with persons who were Rajo Pradhana in the first line and Tamo Pradhana in the second line. The Rajasic person is reborn in a loka where there is a lot of activity, Karma Pradhana Loka, which is the Manushya Loka or Bhuloka. The Tamasic person is either reborn in the lower lokas or in Bhuloka, but not in the Manushya Jiva, but as an animal or plant without free will. The next slide shows verse 18, and this completes the topic of Gatihi, travel after death of a Jiva, by giving the direction of travel. Sattvic persons will travel upward, that is Urdham Gati, to higher lokas. Rajasic persons will stagnate horizontally in the same Bhuloka where they are reborn as humans again, and this is the Madhyama Gati. Tamasic persons will travel downward to the lower lokas, Adhogati. So the three operative words are Urdhvam, Madhyama, and Adhogati. Coming to the next slide, it is important that we know that the 6 higher and the 7 lower lokas which are described are not really located spatially above or below Bhuloka. They refer to different planes of experience and are not defined by our time and space. So using our present coordinates, there is no way we can locate these lokas. Swami Paramathananda uses the example of the dream world to help us understand this concept. In a dream that lasts 10 minutes, one may have dreamt of events spanning several years. So dream time is different from our time. Objects in a dream too are located only in dream space. We now come to the last topic, of phalam, which are the consequences of our gunas in this very life. Lord Krishna addresses this topic in verses 16 and 17. In the next slide, we see the Triguna Phalam, which is given in verse 16. Sattvic actions are noble and good activities that result in Sukrutam or Punyam. Also, Nirmalam, that is freedom from anxiety and stress. Knowledge or Jnana is born out of Sattva because all the instruments responsible, that is the Jnanendriyas, are operational and right, leading to increase in both material and spiritual knowledge. Rajasic actions result in tremendous activity, but there is associated stress and strain, anger, hurt, unhappiness, disharmony. That is, there is dukkham or sorrow. This is a result of lobha or greed in the form of ambition, plans, and schemes, so there is no tripti or satisfaction at all. Tamasic transactions, like sleeping all the time, are a waste of this human birth and lead to perpetuation of ignorance. Delusion, conflict, and indecisiveness are born of tamoguna. Fortunately, we know that as human beings, we have free will and so can make a conscious attempt by changing the nature of our actions to bump up from tamo to rajas and rajas to sattva. The next slide is basically gives the entire Triguna Phalam in a nutshell. Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you, Dr. Rekha. That was a clear explanation about what happens to the different gunas after death and what is the benefit from each of them. We go back to Ullas once again, who will tell us about how can we become a gunatita. Can we become a gunatita? Ullas, please go ahead.
Hariom sir. The idea that we have about who am I is a mixture that I am a body, I am a mind, and I have some consciousness. Technically, it is called Chidabhasa because it's a reflected consciousness which is reflecting in this body-mind medium. Now, this body and mind we have seen is made up of Prakriti, of matter, which has all the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And all the products of Prakriti will obviously then have all the properties of Prakriti, which has all the three gunas. And the rule number one is that we can never escape, any of these products can never escape any of the gunas. They can only reshuffle because they fluctuate. They're never constant. They keep changing. So sometimes something can be dominant. Sometimes Sattva can be dominant. Sometimes Rajas can be dominant. But none of them are ever absent. So we always have these three gunas. And the second rule is that all the three gunas are binding. We can call Tamas binding as an iron handcuff and a Sattva binding as a golden handcuff, but they are handcuffs nonetheless. A Sattva person will always want a conducive environment for learning and quietude. If anything disturbs there, he will get disturbed. So that is the binding. And the consequence of this is that I developed strong raga towards a conducive environment and strong dvesha towards a non-conducive environment, whichever guna is dominant. And then what happens is I get into the cycle of a dissatisfied bhokta because of a non-conducive environment. Then I become a karta to make sure that that environment is best for me. And then am I still satisfied? No, I still am dissatisfied for some other reason. So this merry-go-round or sorry-go-round keeps going on. The thing is, we can never achieve an ideal setup. And even if we were to believe that we have achieved it, we cannot permanently preserve it. So this is a false chase. And the problem due to this is that I'm always busy in making this environment conducive for myself, and it never happens. And so I never get the time to contemplate upon my real nature. I keep thinking I'm this body-mind complex. I need to make a conducive environment for that. So then what is the solution? The main topic about this chapter, and perhaps the entire spiritual knowledge, is also that how do I transcend these three gunas? How do I become gunatita? Here, transcend means go beyond. And this beyond is not in time or space. It is not that it is above the clouds or it is 10 years from now that I will become gunatita. Then how do I become gunatita? Because this body mind cannot be made nirguna because it is made up of prakriti, we just saw. And then this consciousness also cannot be made nirguna because it is already nirguna. It doesn't have any gunas. Then what do I do? Well, the good news or the bad news is there is nothing to do here. Even a jnani's mind will always be guna, and anybody's consciousness is always nirguna. Then the answer is I just need to have the right knowledge to get the right identification. Let's understand it from an example. A man is a son as well as a father as well as a husband. Now, how do you transcend beyond them? A man is still beyond all these three, but he has to play the role of son, husband, and father. He is in and through all three of them, but he is still beyond. Similarly, we are also bound by these three gunas, but we are still beyond all the three. That is the identification we need to understand. And that shift and change in vision is the one that can lead us to the benefits of this are, once we become Gunatita, Lord Krishna promises that once somebody identifies that he is Gunatita, then he merges into me. He becomes Ishvara, he becomes one with Ishvara. Now I start seeing this body objectively. Now the problems of the body are not problems of me. Yes, this is an instrument that I'm using. It is, for example, if I use a car or my spectacles, then those are the instruments that I use. But it is not me. So its problems are not my problem. I do get a little bit of, impacted by that, but always I know that it is not me. So these problems, and these are not really the problems, it is the nature of the body to grow, to go to old age, to have disease. And resistance to these facts will always bring sorrow. So if I know that body is going to go through these changes, I am not the body, I am beyond the body. So I am beyond all these three gunas. And so all the bodily problems will still be there, but they will be as insignificant as stars become when the sun arises. So this knowledge, the sun of knowledge, when it arises, these all problems go away. And now I get Jivan Mukti. So what is the take home message? That body, mind will have gunas and they will all be binding. I need to transcend these gunas by right identification, that I'm actually consciousness, not this body. I'm the man, not the son, husband, or the father, and attain Jivan Mukti. So these are the benefits of Gunatita. Now let's see what are the lakshana of this Gunatita. Thank you, sir. Hari Om.
Thank you, Ullas, for giving a very clear message that we are already that which you can possibly be. And when this spiritual wisdom will dawn on us, we never know. It can happen to us this moment. There was a petty shopkeeper in Mumbai who was asked by a friend, there was a satsang going on, come on, let us go and listen. So he shut his shop and went to listen to the talk, where the teacher was saying that you are a Gunatita, you are Brahman, you are Nirguna, you are already that which you could possibly be. And he believed him 100%. He could not go for the next satsang because the teacher, for some reason, left his body, or just one exposure to such a wisdom transformed a petty shopkeeper to Nisarga Datta Maharaj, who is author of a very famous book called I Am That. And that was a realization. So we are already that. We need to make that shift. What our teachers are saying is gospel truth, but we need to have that message very clear. I'm already that. My gunas will continue to be, it will continue to affect my mind, whether I'm sattva, rajas, or tamas, that is all. But I am someone other than that instrument of my body and mind. This message has to be very clear. Arjuna asks Sri Krishna a question, and Komal will help us to understand this. Dr. Komal Prasad, please tell us.
Thank you, sir. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So Arjuna asks 3 questions about Gunatita. What are the characteristics of a Gunatita? How does he conduct himself in this world? And how does he become a Gunatita? Shri Krishna answers these questions in verses 22 to 26. So we will see the verse 23 now. Udasinavad asino gunairyo na vichalyate gunavartanta ityeva yovatishta iti nengate. Visualize you have 3 kids in your car, 3 naughty kids. One always playing, restless, always active, and a second always reading, a bookworm, thirsty for knowledge. The third always sleepy, lethargic, no activity, no knowledge, like a stone. So we have 3 kids like stone, paper, and scissors. And imagine you are driving them on a long journey. And what do they do in the back seat? Constantly playing stone, paper, scissors. Noisy, disturbing, irritable at times. But they're your kids. You have to take care of them. You try to talk to them, engage them, and try to make them behave well. But you know that your act of engaging them has nothing to do about your destination or driving. You are very clear about your route and destination. Similarly, our mind is also made up of 3 gunas. Tamo guna like the stone, Rajo guna like scissors, activity friendly, and Satvika guna, the paper, knowledge friendly. Mind is dynamic with these 3 gunas, like the 3 kids, and so it is natural to have disturbances. The important point to note here is gunas alone interact. Guna varthante, gunas alone interact. Kids alone play. You drive. You don't play stone, paper, scissors. If kids have a problem, only then you handle it. If mind has got a problem, then I have to handle it. How? Neither with inaction nor with reaction, but with whatever can be done to improve the situation. And when I choose to improve my mind, I remember the fact the improvement of the mind has nothing to do with my Purnatvam, because I am the Atma who is different from the mind also. Yet remember that the mind can be infinitely improved. There is no question of 100% perfection of the mind. No Jivan Mukta has ever got 100% perfect mind, just as no Jnani has ever got 100% body. Mind can be refined eternally, and I enjoy refining the mind, not for liberation, but as a liberated person. That's how Gunatita is. As an ever liberated Atma, he enjoys the game of refining his mind objectively. He does not hate the 3 kids. He does not hate his own mind when Tamoguna is predominant or Rajoguna is predominant. He does not worry when Satvaguna recedes. Na Kankshati. He is not attached to Satvaguna also. He remains balanced without self-criticism, without low self-image. He remains with a balanced mind. He knows that these 3 gunas are the inevitable compositions of everything, including my own mind. And therefore, he is able to accept his own mind. This accepting one's own body and accepting one's own mind, this objectivity regarding one's own body and mind is the indication of a Gunatita or a Gnani. And the second question was about how does a Gunatita conduct himself in life? How does a Gunatita act? Just as the body-mind complex is made up of 3 fluctuating gunas, the entire world is also made up of the 3 gunas. You'll have to interact with people with predominant sattvic, or rajasic, or tamasic nature. And over and above that, the people will not be the same. They will not be sattvic, rajasic, tamasic all the time. Once you know that the people and environment behave according to the fluctuations in their 3 gunas, which interact with the similarly fluctuating 3 gunas in yourself, there is an equanimity of the mind. Mind is free from violent reactions. And even if there is little bit reaction, it does not react to those reactions. So samatvam is his achara. Just as a musician sings, whatever he sings, one corner of his mind is always aware of the tamburi shruti. If he thinks of shruti always, he can't sing the song properly. If he forgets shruti altogether, then also there will be apashruti. That state is swastaha, abiding in Atma, always aware that I am Gunatita. Sama dukkha sukha, there is no resistance to favorable or unfavorable situations, which are inevitable in life. Health and ill health, corona or flood, financially better or in adverse situation, praise, criticism, pleasant or unpleasant situations. When such situations come, he is sama. And it is not indifference to the situation, nor is it overreaction to the situation. But whatever can be done to improve the situation, it is done, but all the time poised. Samaloshtashma kanchanaha. Loshtam means a clod of earth. Asma is rock. Kanchana means gold. Gold will come and gold will go. Like the appearance of golden hue on Mount Kailas, you are saying. Wealth will come and wealth will go, but he will be sama, balanced. Final question of Arjuna is how to become a Gunatita. Simple answer is by going beyond the three gunas. We should remember that for transcending the three gunas, we will have to make use of three gunas. Like for a banana fruit to ripen, it requires skin and its stalk to connect it to the tree till it ripens. Like this helicopter with three rotor blades, you need the three gunas to be active. Then you use the fuel of bhakti for you to take off and go beyond and become a Gunatita. Krishna says, Avyabhicharena bhakti yogena, unflinching devotion, by becoming a Jignasu Bhakta. Surrender to the Lord, and by the grace of the Lord, may you get Jnanam. And that Jnanam is the only solution. Through bhakti, you become fit to attain the nature of Brahman. But remember, still you do not get liberation. It's like clearing an entrance test, not yet got the seat. Through the fuel of bhakti, with the help of three guna rotors, you get a lift to fly, a conducive atmosphere and personality for knowledge. And then you fly to get knowledge. How to attain this knowledge was earlier explained in 12th chapter, 5 levels of bhakti. You should keep flying in the valley. Which way? Your path must be initially guided by the twin mountains of Ishvara Arpana Buddhi and Ishvara Prasada Bhavana on either side to fly safely towards Ekarupa, then higher towards Vishwarupa, and eventually much higher to attain the Nirguna Ishvara. And that is moksha. So, a Gunatita is firm, not disturbed by fluctuation in mind. When pleasant or unpleasant situations arise in life, he is not indifferent. He does not overreact. Does what needs to be done with Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. And by acquiring knowledge through bhakti, he becomes Gunatita and attains moksha. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Komal. That was a brilliant explanation of the answer that Sri Krishna gives to Arjuna on the characteristics of a Gunatita, how to become a Gunatita. And with that, we come to the end of a session which was really brilliant by all the teachers. The 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita was very beautifully covered. For the next week, I will give you a munnota, a little glimpse of the shortest and one of the most significant and very popular chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, the Purushottama Yoga, the 15th chapter. Many people learn this by heart because in many centers, in many ashrams, it is compulsory to chant this before eating. And it is also very short and a very beautiful chapter. It also contains the essence of all the Upanishads. It wonderful way with samsara being compared to an Ashwatha tree, and Adi Shankara has given a brilliant commentary about how the samsara compares to a tree. How to get over this samsara is through 4 sadhanas. The first is through vairagyam. Vairagyam means detachment, and the word Sri Krishna used, asanga shastrena dridhena chitva. You should be able to cut the trunk of the tree by the axe of vairagya. And then Sri Krishna gives that if you have to get moksha, it is very important that you have sadguna. You need to be a person of values. You need to surrender to me. It should be a sharanagati, and very importantly, what we are doing in all these classes as Atma Vichara. Then there is a very brilliant part where the Sri Krishna helps us to see Brahman as existence, everything that you can see and experience as Brahman itself. And finally, Krishna begins to make a discussion on the 3 types of Purusha. One he calls it Kshara Purusha, that which decays and disappears. All the material universe that you see is called Kshara Purusha. Then he says there is another Purusha which is unmanifest, and therefore because it cannot undergo decay, that is the Akshara Purusha. Then he says in addition to all of them, there is a third and very important and very nicely deduces the third Purusha called the Uttama Purusha. The concluding verses of the 15th chapter is the climax of the entire Bhagavad Gita, where Sri Krishna confides, Iti guhyatamam shastram idam uktam mayanaga. O Arjuna, I have revealed to you the greatest of great secrets. But I can reveal it to you to whom? To an anaga, to one who is free from sin. And that is how this, and he says, Krita Kritasya Bharata. If you have understood this particular chapter, if you have understood this particular chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, you develop Purnatvam. With that, we conclude today's class. We have the chanting of 20 verses, and it will be done by Netra and Dr. Netra and Dr. Ahalya. Dr. Ahalya, Dr. Netra, please go ahead.
अथ चतुर्दशोऽध्यायः गुणत्रयविभागयोगः श्रीभगवानुवाच परं भूयः प्रवक्ष्यामि ज्ञानानां ज्ञानमुत्तमम् यज्ञात्वा मुनयः सर्वे परां सिद्धिमितो गताः इदं ज्ञानम् उपाश्रित्य मम साधर्म्यमागताः सर्गेऽपि नोपजायन्ते प्रलये न व्यतन्ति च मम योनिर्महद्ब्रह्मा तस्मिन् गर्भं दधाम्यहम् सम्भवः सर्वभूतानां ततो भवति भारत सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय मूर्तयः सम्भवन्ति याः तासां ब्रह्म महत् योनिः अहं बीजप्रदः सत्वं रजस्तम इति गुणाः प्रकृतिसम्भवाः निबध्नन्ति महाबाहो देहे देहिनमव्ययम् तत्र सत्वं निर्मलत्वात् प्रकाशकमनामयम् सुखसङ्गेन बध्नाति ज्ञानसङ्गेन चानगा रजो रागात्मकं विद्धि तृष्णासङ्गसमुद्भवम् तन्निबध्नाति कौन्तेय कर्मसङ्गेन देहिनम् तमस्त्वज्ञानजं विद्धि मोहनं सर्वदेहिनां प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिः तन्निबध्नाति भारत सत्वं सुखे संजयति रजः कर्मणि भारत ज्ञानमावृत्य तु तमः प्रमादे संजयत्युत रजस्तमश्चाभिभूय सत्वं भवति भारत रजसत्वं तमश्चैव तमसत्वं रजस्तथा सर्वद्वारेषु देहेऽस्मिन् प्रकाश उपजायते ज्ञानं यदा तदा विद्यात् विवृद्धं सत्वमित्युत लोभा प्रवृत्तिरारम्भः कर्मणामसमस्पृहा रजसेतानि जायन्ते विवृद्धे भरतर्षभा अप्रकाशो प्रवृत्तिश्च प्रमादो मोह एव च तमस्येतानि जायन्ते विवृद्धे कुरु नन्दन यदा सत्त्वे प्रवृद्धे तु प्रलयं याति देहभृत् तदोत्तमविदां लोकान् अमलान् प्रतिपद्यते रजसि प्रलयं गत्वा कर्मसङ्गिषु जायते तथा प्रलीनस्तमसि मूढयोनिषु जायते कर्मणा सुकृतस्याहुः सात्विकं निर्मलं फलम् रजसस्तु फलं दुःखम् अज्ञानं तमसः फलम् सत्त्वात् संजायते ज्ञानं रजसो लोभ एव च प्रमादमोहौ तमसः भवतो ज्ञानमेव च ऊर्ध्वं गच्छन्ति सत्त्वस्ताः मध्ये तिष्ठन्ति राजसाः जगन्यगुणवृत्तिस्ताः अधो गच्छन्ति तामसाः नान्यं गुणेभ्यः कर्तारं यदा द्रष्टानुपश्यति गुणेभ्यश्च परं वेत्ति मद्भावं सोऽधिगच्छति गुणानेतानतीत्यत्रीन् देहि देहसमुद्भवान् जन्म मृत्युजरा दुःखैः विमुक्तो मृतमश्नुते हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम
Thank you, Dr. Ahalya and Dr. Netra. With this, we have reached the end of today's session. Thank you very much for your focused attention. Next week, we are going to study Purushottama Yoga in the 15th chapter. As always, video recording of this class and study material will reach you soon. We shall meet next Friday, same time. Please log in before 6:45 p.m. local time. Namaste. Now, let's chant Shanti Mantra to end the class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om.